Who are you? Nobody with you or without you. The world gives two hoots. This moment, if your chair suddenly falls vacant, even the CCTV will not bother to nod. You will have to zoom in and see where is the fellow? Under the chair or where? And we are so pathetically and pathologically dependent on the world. What kind of relationship is this? This is what deeply hurts the sages. They say this relationship is not acceptable. You do not care for me, whereas I have to live and die by you. This won't do. This won't do. It's like one-sided, unrequited love. Even for my very breath, I am dependent on you, and you don't even notice even if I am gone forever. Is that not so? Now, there are two ways to approach this situation. One way is, it is not as if nobody cares for me. I have two and half people in my life who do care for me. They care for you because you have written a will for them. A lot of their comforts and security and emotional needs depend on you. And physical needs depend on you. Therefore, they care for you. They care for you only in this moment. 10 years hence, their needs will no more be dependent on you. Then even they will not care for you. So one way is to say that it is not as if I am absolutely inconsequential. I do matter. You see, if I am gone, 40 people will come to the ceremony. Those 40 are coming only because you are what? You know what? You also know that if the conditions change, none of those 40 will turn up. There is something about the conditions that is making those 40 turn up. So, one way is the way of self-delusion. The other way is the way of self-liberation. In self-delusion, you remain dependent and want to justify your dependence. You want to beautify your dependence. You say, no, this is not dependence, this is love. I am not a prisoner. I have agreed and cooperating to be in this great mansion that you call as the prison. It is not a prison. It is a mansion, and I am here by my own will. I am not held captive here. I am just cooperating. I am just fulfilling my due responsibilities. One way is this, then you can see, I am not in bondage of all. So why do I need liberation? This is not the way of the sage. The Rishi, by his very definition, is the biggest rebel possible. Rishi is rebellion. Think of that long flowing white beard as his flag. He carries that everywhere he goes. That's a mark of the rebels. I'm not saying everybody who has a beard is a rebel. Please. Are you getting it? The fellow says, irrespective of how I carve out my relationships with this thing, I will remain a slave, a serf, a vessel. Maybe I will have some autonomy, but that will be a comfort autonomy, not an earned autonomy, not an autonomous autonomy. It will be a dependent, contingent autonomy. Somebody like you have vessels, you understand? So there is the king, and then there is some kind of a feudal lord, and the king says, fine, you can control that particular area. 40 villagers will be under your command. So that fellow says, right, I am the lord of those 40 villagers. but you are not the absolute lord of those 40 villages. The king is over you, like you had kingdoms in India even in the British era. Were they really sovereign? The fellow used to call himself the king of such and such state, but he was not really the king. The kingship was a dependent one. The sage is not happy with all that, not at all satisfied. The sage says, I need to have a relationship in which if you cannot depend on me, then I too will not depend on you. I cannot change your rules, obviously. This freedom from dependence, this freedom from total helplessness is liberation. Liberation for the ego, because I am the ego. And I kept remaining dependent. I do not want to be dependent. I go into myself and ask, why do I remain dependent? The answer is because you want something from there. Why do I want something from there? The answer is because I think I lack in that thing. Why do you think you lack in that thing? No answer. But it just feels that way. Can we explore that? Can we really verify whether you really lack in something? Yes. Seems like a good idea. How do we do that? Can we see where the feelings come from? What do we call the process area? Yes, the answer is self-observation. Since the bondage stems from me, therefore I have to go into myself to find the root of the bondage and uproot it. Otherwise, it is very indignified. Do you see the indignity? Think of being in relationship with someone and you do not matter at all to that person. Whereas for money, you depend on that person. For food, you depend on that person. For identity, you depend on that person. For house, you depend on that person. For clothes, you depend on that person. For emotional support, you depend on that person. For physical support, you depend on that person. For you would enjoy this condition. For you. That's the condition of mankind by birth. That's how we are condemned to be born. Extremely vulnerable and totally dependent. And in this dependency is indignity. Therefore, Vedanta is a rebellion to reclaim dignity. Give it back to me. What? My dignity. Are you clear? Now, it will probably be easier to understand why Sri Krishna speaks this way. Those who think of the Atman to be the slayer and he who takes it to be the slain, neither of these knows if it does not slay, nor is it slain. It is an instruction into the very nature of the pure self, rising, falling, change of forms, arrival, departure, all these belong to the field of Prakriti. Stay away. All that is happening there. All that is not happening there. All that is happening. All that must not happen to you. All that is happening Parth. It is not necessarily happening to you. To whom it is happening? It is happening to the perceiver. I am not the perceiver. Who is the perceiver? The eyes are the perceivers. The body is the perceiver. To some extent, even the mind, intellect and the memory are the perceivers, and yet I can stand apart from all these. So, all this is happening. Is that happening? Yes, it is happening. All happening is to someone. To whom is the happening? To the eye, the happening is there. To the skin, the happening is there. To the memory, the happening is there. Freedom lies in being able to see the other I and call your normal I as the other one. The ego is there and things are happening to the ego. Obviously, the ego is experiencing pain. Is the pain there? Yes, the pain is there. To the ego, not to me. There are two. I will now, there are two is. It is very strange. In non-duality, there are two I was, and in duality, there is no one I. In duality, there is only one I, called the ego. Does the ego experience anything called the other I, the true self? No. So in duality, there is only one I, called the ego. In non-duality, the other one just opens up and this other one becomes the first one, the real one. Let us simply say the only one, because the only one, therefore non-duality. Only one. Why? Because that's the one who I am. That's who I am. Then what is that one that is experiencing the pain? That is a product of the body. That is not who I am. Therefore, non-duality. Then when there is a single I, why do you call that duality? Because there are two for that single I. Me and the world. Therefore, it is dualistic. In that single I framework, there is the I called the ego and there is the world. So there are two, hence it is dualistic. But when there are two, when there are those two I was, then what is real? Only the I. The other two are playing with each other. The world and the ego. They are playing with each other. And both of them are just playthings to each other. Let them do whatever they want to do. Minus is contained only in the pure self. Therefore, non-duality.